Hello, hello. I'm just doing some testing, so I'm going to test with Dark Souls because Dark Souls. Let's see. It has been a while. Hello. Sure. What was the class that would be fun? Pyromancer ain't bad. Bandit could be fun. I'm feeling. I'm feeling sword and board. Let's go with Warrior Knight. I want more strength, I think. Warrior. Gift. Have some fun with the key. Base. What color do I want to be? Wow, you look really happy. Let's go with happy. Hair would be good, even if it's really hideous. Yeah, sure. Why not? And make it brown, even though it'll be a pumpkin the entire time. Ugh.
In the age of ancients, the world was unformed, shrouded by fog. A land of grey crags, arch trees, and everlasting dragons. But then there was fire. And with fire came disparity. Heat and cold, life and death, and of course, light and dark. Then from the dark, they came and found the souls of lords within the flame. Nito, the first of the dead. The Witch of Izalith and her daughters of Chaos. Gwyn, the Lord of Sunlight, and his faithful knights. And the furtive pygmy, so easily forgotten. With the strength of lords, they challenged the dragons. Gwyn's mighty bolts peeled apart their stone spears. The witches weaved great firestorms. Nito unleashed a miasma of death and disease. And Seath the Scaleless betrayed his own, and the dragons were no more. Thus began the Age of Fire. But soon the flames will fade, and only dark will remain. Even now, there are only embers, and man sees not light, but only endless nights. And amongst the living are seen carriers of the accursed dark side.
That be the opening cutscene. I do think it's interesting that that is effectively
Yes,
the
indeed.
one cutscene.
The dark sign brands the undead. And in this land,
He's having a good time in that cage.
the undead are corralled and led to the north. Where they are locked away to await the end of the world. This is your fate.
Yeah, I still look a little happy, right? Even as a raisin. Thank you for the corpse. Anyway, I do find it interesting that it's like the one cutscene of effectively the whole game. Like, there's little scenes they'll use for moving the character around every now and then, but nothing major. Oh god, how do buttons work? I don't want to be medium roll. That looks like it'll probably be the good roll. Yeah, there we go. These messages on the ground are just how to move around and stuff, which is fine. Need rear. Good job, player message. Let's see. Target lock release. It's been so long I might actually need some of these buttons. Climb. How does one run? There we go. Okay. And bonfire. So we reached our first checkpoint. And with the big obvious doors, I guess that's something I've never really properly taken note of before. Like when you get up here, this is like the one thing that's in the center, so you're always going to try to interact with it, even if you don't know what's going on. So you're going to benefit from this no matter what. But then looking around from this exact point, it's pretty obvious that there's nothing going on over here. Like, it's all one kind of low-toned color scheme, right? There's nothing that catches out. Even the door over here really blends in. And the doors that are actual progression really kind of shine under the light. They stand out, so it's really hard to get lost and really easy to just kind of railroad into where you're supposed to go next. Despair ahead. No, there's no despair ahead. This is perfectly safe. There's nothing bad here at all. What up, friend? That's where I get slammed because I'm distracted by thinking of things to say. But he's not terribly difficult. Like, you could sit here and hit his butt forever if you really wanted to. If you really wanted to actually kill him before you're necessarily intended, it might be wise to take a starting gift as a character that's more suitable, like the Black Fire Bombs. There's nothing really stopping you from doing anything here. It's very slow. But the goal here is really to show the player that combat and head-on engagement is not always the point. There's this door over here that conveniently closes. Alright, he's looking at me. He's having a good time. And it's really the only thing in the room to interact with. And as soon as it closes behind you, it's kind of locking you into the decision you made. But the decision is kind of forcing you to realize, oh, I don't have to take the game as a hard as nails, combat as combat. I can explore and try to gain advantages from treating the game as a proper RPG. Given another save point, although this one in my opinion, doesn't serve any good use other than to kind of lock us into the decision we just made. And then we get this hallway where we have, oh, a friend. I can't punch arrows, right? No, I can't punch arrows. That look like it hurt. I mean, he's not too hard to dodge. This is okay. But I probably don't want to try to get closer to him because it's obviously going to get harder. But as soon as we're greeted with this hallway, we know already from the cutscene at the beginning to get out of our cell what an item on a corpse is. It's useful. We see Al. We see one right here. We can pillage it and go, oh, a shield? Awesome. Is there anything else back here that's of use? For us, no. Not in this character anyway. But this also has messages on the ground for how to change equipment and teach us how to use the shield we just got. And now we have a shield. If this was a later game in the Dark Souls series, I'm sure they would have put something in this room to just be kind of dickish about it. But this room is completely safe. This is just a space where you can figure out that a shield does shieldy things, what buttons do, how to interact with your inventory. It is completely harmless to sit there. And as soon as you come back out, the enemy hasn't moved, hasn't done anything. You can figure out how to use a shield, how to not use a shield. You're free to experiment and learn at your own pace, which is quite interesting and forgiving game design, considering Dark Souls, like, what it's known for. I'm gonna dodge you. And as soon as you get any closer than this door, he runs away. Completely. He's not gonna come back. He's just over there doing whatever he wants to do, showing you that enemies themselves also might have strategy. They might think similar to what we did with the boss for positioning, whatever the case may be. In this case, it's thinking more in that it's using one enemy for two different tutorials, but sword. We already know how to equip stuff, so now we can equip stuff. I didn't have this straight sword hilt equipped because it is worthless. But now I have a real sword equipped. Pressing buttons, I can learn how to use it. Was this Dev? Yeah, this is Dev, so it teaches you how to deal with the sword we just got a little bit. Well, a friend. It's our friend from earlier. We get revenge. For free. Come back here. Revenge. Not too bad at all. And we know that there's a door closed behind us. There's nothing for us behind us. This is the only way forward. So now we have to figure out, oh, this thing is progression. This is a gate of light, gate of fog, okay. And it disappeared behind us. So we know we can traverse these things and they kind of can serve as some sort of checkpoint or issue within the area that we want to look out for. These are just more dev messages to say hello, how to roll, how to interact with the world a little bit better. Oh, I am heavy again. Maybe that's a good point to discuss heaviness. Is that light enough? Yeah. The... what is... Can I? No. It's been far too long. I know it's around here somewhere. It's there. I saw it. There we go. Here we go. Equip load. There are multiple styles of rolling in this game that are faster, longer, better, and they're all dependent on your equip load, how heavy the equipment you are carrying is versus how heavy you can carry. It's pretty straight breakpoints. Anything less than 25% equip load, you get the awesome roll. Less than 50%, I think, you get the better roll, and then anything above that, you get the fat roll. Good luck, it sucks. But that can impact your play quite heavily, in that if you're a lighter armored character, you are more incentivized to utilize a dodgy, nimble playstyle. If you're bulking up with big heavy armor, you're more incentivized to actually consider the use of your shield. So it incentivizes you to play along a class-like structure where there's a big heavy knight and a swifty little ninja without actually having a class. You just have stats. It's all very organic. And then we can see below us, there's where we started. We can't seem to get over this. This is here. But we remember there is a gate down there, so we can try to say hello to the gate. And oh, now we have a shortcut back. That's cool. The area is wrapping around on itself, and the game is teaching us that it can. Oh, there was a player there. You'll sometimes see phantoms of other players chilling around. We're going back up the stairs to continue to explore as the game has incentivized us to do. If we use our eyes, there is something at the top of those stairs. That is alarming in that most things we've seen so far want to kill us. But even if we get hit, because we didn't really know what to expect, we don't die. We don't even get close to dying. And when we look back to see what on earth just happened, what hit us, oh, there's a hole in the wall. We have yet another direction to explore. There's that silly ball. And our friend, the guy who got us out of the cage.
Oh, you. You're no Hollow.
We can still move around during the
I'm done for, I'm
talk.
afraid. I'll die soon, then lose my sanity. I wish to ask something of you. You and I, we're both undead. Hear me out, will you?
You do have the choice to say yes or no. I'm gonna say yes because I can.
I have failed in my mission, but perhaps you can keep the torch lit. There is an old saying in my family. Thou who art undead art chosen, and thine exodus from the undead asylum maketh pilgrimage to the land of ancient lords. When thou ringest the bell of awakening, the fate of the undead thou shalt know. Well, now you know, and I can die with hope in my heart. Oh, one more thing. Here, take this. An Estus flask. An undead favorite.
Yeah, Sunny D.
Oh, and this.
And a key.
Now I must bid farewell. I would hate to harm you after death. So go now. And thank you.
It's worth noting that I wonder if I can get him to do it.
Now I must bid farewell.
Yeah, if you walk too far away, his dialogue will just end. You can
Now
just...
I must bid farewell.
Farewell. You can also kill him. I don't want to. He's a bro. We like him. But when you leave, if you listen closely... What was that just now? He's super dead. He offed himself. He wanted to kill himself in order to not do any harm to us, I assume. That's kind of left up to player interpretation based on our now 2 encounters with him. But the nice thing is he tells us, hey, like, please, for my lineage, do this thing. There might be salvation for us yet. But it also gives you a mechanical, like, oh, hey, like, maybe this is mechanical power or progression or any other type of motivation a player may have. So now no matter what mentality of a player there may be, they know where they should probably go next, and they may have an individual or personal reason as to why, even if it's not the same as somebody else. Hello, friend. And these early enemies, whenever they attack a shield, they'll bounce off. And I chose a warrior class, and my shield is good enough where he's not even doing any damage through the shield. It's completely effective. But it means that when he attacks and he bounces off my shield, I have ample time to attack back. It is a very easy back and forth in order to learn kind of that you can bounce back and forth and understand how you might want to approach combat if you're using a shield. If you're not using a shield, since he's still very slow, it gives you the opportunity to learn how you might want to approach combat. If we look down, we can see into the room we were in earlier. There's a neat little statue-looking thing on it. This is the door we just got the key to from a good friend. So we wouldn't be able to progress until we got those items. The other item we got is the Estus Flask. Sunny D. Health potions. He gives us 5 tutorials for how to wield two-handed. Let's go. You can block with anything, like instead of blocking with my shield, I can block with my weapon. It will actually block damage, not as much as a shield, but it does work. Hello. You can see that these guys are not necessarily very dangerous as long as you're being respectful of the game. If you go through and just try to mash buttons, you're going to take a bunch of meaningless damage and you're going to have a bad time. And as long as you're respectful to the fact that the game is positioning enemies thoughtfully, like this, then you'll be perfectly fine. This is an interesting little encounter because it's the first time we're faced with two enemies at once, and it's immediately teaching us that the game will place enemies strategically near each other. If we just ran ahead and tried to hit this guy by playing with pure action game YOLO, we would have gotten hit in the face with a bunch of arrows. They were placed specifically for that purpose. But by respecting the game design and playing a little bit cautiously, this is not difficult. Oh! I was gonna say whatsoever, but he had quick feet. Whatsoever. Leaving us with simple one-on-one encounters that we've already fought before and know how to deal with for whatever character we chose to start as. Over here, there's a bit of an optional. I wonder if. No, I'm not gonna look. Boink. This guy's a little harder. We can see he has a shield. He has some bigger armor on. He's still very slow. We're able to quickly walk around him and not really have worry. You see, a lot of these early enemies are simple to deal with. Ooh, backstab. What I tried to do initially was, instead of block, parry. Both shields can parry, which does what a parry does. It parries an attack. Definitions. But when you parry an enemy, that you get the chance to hit them for extra damage, big opportunity. But with the risk of being good enough to actually parry, which I'm not very good for. It's locked. We don't have a key for this. So we know the only thing we can do is approach a much bigger fog gate than before, and if we've been paying attention to what the game has been showing us and letting us hear. Not there. It was over here. We know what's this center building that we've been kind of walking around is. We recognize that space. We can see the pots underneath. We can see all the archways. If we consider where we are, we know that's where we fought Big and Ugly. So if we go through that gate, we might expect we're going to find Big and Ugly again, especially since he keeps roaring at us. And that is true. But oh, right button while falling plunging attack. That's convenient. I know that if I wield my sword with two hands, I deal extra damage, so maybe I'll try to combo these things together. Hello, friend. He's just looking at us. If you stay up there too long, he will punish you for it. You have to actually act on what you've learned. You can see that even the boss can be dealt with the starting shield. And now we can deal meaningful damage. Get a camera full of blood. Yeah? Okay. That is the tutorial for Dark Souls. In 24 minutes. Oof. And then at the end here we can see the doors open. When we got in here they were closed. We had to fight him this time. This was the final showdown. But he gave us a humanity. Great restore HP. Ooh, fun. And also a big key. Big key. Progression. We could go back to the bonfire over here. Even though we're full health, that's okay. If we're a little afraid, our bonfire is always a friend. Apparently can't do anything with the bonfire, but that's fine. You can tell it restored all of our HP, and, well, not that we had any damage taken, but it also refilled our Estus. We go back to the 5 Estus that Our good friend Andre. Not Andre. What is his name? Oh, it's been too long. Our good friend gave us. Good job. Go straight ahead. It says, while being angled to the side. We can tell we're kind of out in the middle of nowhere here. Which kind of makes sense. We were told in the tutorial that the undead are just kind of corralled off into the dungeon and placed there to rot until the end of time. Maybe don't place that right beside your town center. So we were destined to just sit here and rot until the end of time. But now, we can at least get onto this nice little vista, so maybe we rot over here instead. This is probably a player message? Yeah, this is a player message. It says, oh hey. Hello. Oh, is Snuggly not here yet? Snuggly's not here yet, I don't think. I think you have to come back for it. There is a bird here that you can exchange items with. It's a little clunky on how to do it, but fair enough. There is actually a developer message to tell you that you can exchange items here. However, it is completely worthless because you have to equip the Seek Guidance Miracle spell in order to see the message. And it is here for some reason. You're never going to come over here in this corner ever for any reason, nor can you see the message without really being on top of it over there because the range of Seek Guidance is so low. So it is a really worthless message, but it's kind of interesting they tried, I guess. Dark Souls doesn't hit everything out of the park. And you can see there's only really one path forward. We have a couple graves. Interesting to have graves in a place where everybody's eternally undead, but you know, whatever works. And the design is leading us up to get this big payoff of a vista, because it does look pretty cool around, right? And there's a spot that's obviously going to give us the best view. Might as well take advantage of that. To get the other...
Only in the ancient legends it is stated that one day an undead shall be chosen. To leave the undead asylum in pilgrimage to the land of the ancient lords. Lordran.
This piece is really interesting because it does... I mean, it looks nice for what it is, but it also gives us a visual overview of a bunch of the different places we can go, focusing first on that town we just flew over. And the camera focuses, even as we drop, in that direction, right? So we see the world in that frame of reference, which I think is very purposeful, but is not necessarily hand-holdy to the point where people expected it to be and causes a bit of friction. Oh, and Lordran, level up and kindle at bonfires. We can do more things at bonfires now. Ooh. Level up? Oh, we have souls. So, souls you get for killing enemies. It's basically EXP, but it's also money. It serves the purpose of both. You have to choose how you use it and what is more important to you. I forget what I will want. I think I need a bit of strength, but we'll get there when we get there. For now, I'm gonna leave it alone. But each of these stats raise something, and you can farm and level as much as you want to get more HP, more slots to put more spells, more stamina so you can do more actions, more equip loads. You wear heavier armor or roll with heavier armor relatively. Strength for strengthy weapons, dex for dexy weapons, big strong stuff for nimble stuff. Resistance is a worthless stat. They probably should have tried better. Its purpose in life is poison resist, but wear armor, do something else for poison resist. That's not going to ever win out as a benefit to versus anything else. And then you have intelligence for brainy spells and faith for religious spells. And you see we can't adjust our humanity at all. What we know is we got a humanity earlier, so that's how we would gain those. But leveling up is just a choice of what of these we care about. The other thing we can notice here is we have a couple buttons for Kindle and Reverse Hollowing, which Reverse Hollowing allows us to become human and interact with multiplayer. Always fun. Kindle increases the amount of Estus flasks we get when we rest this bonfire. We notice we have 10. That's because this bonfire is special, so this bonfire gives us 10 by default instead of the 5 we noticed earlier. There's some of these that are spread around the world, but as the game progresses, you can kindle any bonfire to give you up to 20 Estus flasks each, which is such a phenomenally hilarious number that you will never ever need that many, and it makes the game relatively very easy, which is nice to see at least that scale of difficulty given to the players that they can complete it in the way they want to. We'll talk to this bloke in a second, but the reason why this bonfire is special... Who's this lady? Hello. No response. She cannot speak. No response. She cannot speak. We can see she has the ability to reinforce an Estus flask, which we can't do because we don't have a weird item, but now we know at least what item to look for. Firekeeper soul. And that also gives us a hint as to, well, if she wants the soul of a fire keeper, the fire here is nicer. Maybe she's a keeper of the fire, and her keeping it better makes us get more Estus, or however you want to wrap that together in your own head. But wherever there's a fire keeper is where you get more Estus by default when you're resting at a bonfire. The bloke up here. Hello. Crestfallen warrior.
Well, what do we have here? You must be a new arrival. Let me guess. Fate of the undead, right? Well, you're not the first. But there's no salvation here. You'd have done better to rot in the undead
Water
asylum.
good.
But too late now. Well, since you're here, let me help you out. There are actually 2 bells of awakening. One's up above in the undead church. The other is far, far below, in the ruins at the base of Blight Town. Ring them both, and something happens. Brilliant, right? Not much to go on, but I have a feeling that won't stop you. So, off you go. It is why you came, isn't it? To this accursed land, the undead?
She don't remember from the head.
Ah, your face.
Nah, he won't say anything. Okay. As you can see, you can still move around while you're talking. That's with anybody, but his face even tracked us while we were talking to him, which was special. You can see his face isn't tracking us now. But he gave us a bit of extra information as to what our actual goal is and where we might look, up and down. I'm gonna throw this in the strength for now for fun. Because I want to do something silly. What does it say? Miscreant ahead. And he's not a miscreant. He's just sad. You can tell from his dialogue as well that maybe not everybody who comes here accepts that decision after having done so, right? He is lamenting his choice to come to Lord Dran at all, and is considering that we will probably feel the same way eventually. More humanity, always good. So that direction is the camera direction that pointed out earlier from the cutscene. I'm going to deal with that in a minute. But I wanted to go first this way. There is... I'm going to go. Let's continue to explore around. Why not? All of the broken architecture. Stuff to pick up, teaching us to explore. Explore good. And... oh, hello.
Hello there. I believe we are not acquainted. I am Petrus of Thurland. Have you business with us? If not, I'd prefer to keep a distance, if possible.
Well, you're a dick. Do you know that?
Hello there. I realize that I have requested that we retain our distance, but I also want you to know that it is not meant in ill will. Here, take this as a token of peace. No, go ahead. It's for you.
Oh. The copper coin itself is not necessarily very useful, but that interaction, as people are like much better, gives us two very important pieces of information. First, that dialogue can change when you continue to talk to somebody. That the world is not necessarily static. And the second is that the attitude of NPCs may change as well. Which I guess is the same thing. But that's fine. It is helpful to know. Up here, continue to explore because we heard up. This is up, but this is a dead end. And if we consider like, oh, but that looks, you know, maybe doable, not so much. And it even lets us, hopefully, there we go. It even lets us out for free. We're not stuck there forever. I'm sure that was something that somebody got stuck in at some point. But if that's a dead end, what is this? That doesn't look like up, and it looks pretty scary. So, I'm gonna go with no. But if we run back to the only other area in this direction we haven't checked yet. Oh, nice music. Okay, I'm back. I wonder. You hear that? Oh, Crow. Hello. What are you doing, Crow? The Crow being here is probably supposed to be kind of a hint, but that's something for much later and is relevant now. But it is still hanging around and having a good time. I don't intend to pick up every item just because I want to keep my personal sanity. You can see bloodstains here, and this is maybe the first time we want to interact with one of these. It shows us another player died. He was chugging his Sunny D and had a really bad time very shortly after. Okay, well, what did he get hit by? There's a bunch of bones on the ground that seem to not be very, they seem to be lit very differently than the rest of the ground. Like, the blades are shining, they're kind of standing out. So maybe that's what happened. And if we go forward, oh hey, we find out that was very, very true. And these guys are a little bit faster than what we've seen so far. Like, that was pretty snappy. And if we try to attack, if I don't miss, try not to die before it. That did not do like any damage. So this is a point of contention that some players make where they'll go this way first and they'll kind of be in a spot where they can't do anything. But I'm gonna have some fun and roll around. Whee! Even if you go this way first, it is not the end of the world. We will be okay. The game, this is what I meant earlier by saying that the game really did try to show us through the cutscene that led us here, as well as tell us through the Crestfallen Warrior. This is what I came here for. I want this. That, hey, up is good. This is not a very up direction. Ooh, can I make it? No, I got creamed. I died. Oh no, what did I lose? I lost a grand total of 57 souls. Which, we started with, what, 2,000 before I leveled up, so maybe not a big deal. As long as you plan ahead and go like, I don't know where I'm going, how much do I want to risk losing the souls I have, you can go out and risk nothing in death, which is quite nice. Go out, experiment, figure out what you want to do, where you want to go, and potentially risk nothing. I don't know if I can equip this. Ooh, I can equip this. Fine. Do I want to do anything else? I did want to keep the rest of that stuff. So, the sword is somewhat of a favorite of the community, but also of mine, in that it's huge and does big damage. But we're gonna leave it alone for now. But I'm gonna keep it. Well, it might have to be a little bit higher before I mess with it, although it is very potent for where it is already. But now we're gonna go the way that the game really tried to shove us in the direction of and really signpost go this way. And we can see these enemies still look more daunting than what we saw in the tutorial, but are very manageable. Hello, are you friend? You're not friend. And we see from here, like when we come up these stairs, we see with our player, oh, I see dudes. There's a dude in front of me, there's a dude there, and there's a dude there. There's nobody hiding here in my view between those three. They're all very obvious. And that means we know from earlier in the tutorial that enemies will team up if they're positioned well. So if we're cautious as we go forward, remembering the lessons we're taught, oh hey, that's a familiar lesson. But maybe, just like with the tutorial, we can bait them out because they're not that smart. Hello, dum-dum. Come on. Hi. Ah. No. Come back. Yay. There we go. And his friend upstairs can help him out. We got another longsword. We could risk our hide to get that item, and maybe I will for fun. Whee! It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. But now, we've used one lesson from the tutorial. As we come up these stairs with that lesson fresh in mind, oh hey, there's another dude. He's not as obvious as the dudes before, but it's the same lesson, again, ratcheted up one little bit higher, so we can continue to reinforce the lesson learned. As we come up, the AI changed a little bit for what they're doing, showing you that the enemies aren't necessarily static in where they'll stand, they will move. But it's still the same lesson. And you can see for where it places the player and the enemies, it's not advantageous for that bomber. He missed every shot, and I didn't even have to try to block. I just had to be cautious, and everything worked out. Which is on purpose. Hello. And we've learned being cautious, so simple. Goodbye, friend. Whee! Ragdoll physics. Oh, he's taking a trip. Goodbye. Cautious with the doorway. No, we're good. Free item. More souls. These soul items we find are just like checks, like a physical check like you would get from a bank for future money, right? The money we have on us, which is in the bottom right of the screen, the 380, is the souls we would lose when we die and the souls we've gained from killing enemies. But these give us souls when we use the item. We don't lose them at all until we would actually use the item and gain them into our current soul total. So we can stockpile those for later in order to always have some spare cash if we decide we need it. And we can abuse the camera a little bit to see, oh, there's a rat. There's a blank hallway. And that may feel a little cheap, I guess, but at the same time it almost feels like poking your head out of a doorway and looking both ways. You see, the rat didn't really have too much to say about us until we got close, and now he kind of cares, but not too much. He's guarding the soul. One thing that this rat I think is here for, which we should have shown off, is that this space is very narrow, and so if you have especially a larger weapon and you try to swing, you'll bounce off the wall and not complete your swing. So it's worthwhile to think not only between, I should be out here for this, not only between light attack and strong attack, for if you want to deal less or more damage for a faster or slower time, but also how that weapon moves when you use that attack. And these attacks change when you're one-handing or two-handing your weapon. So knowing how your weapon attacks, not only what damage it may deal, is actually important. And when you pick up a new weapon and consider using it, poking around with it a little bit can be very important. And it's just game design, which is, I think is really cool. If we walk up here, it's easy to miss in the door on the left there, but we find out, well, it's not going to be this door, turn around, and this is perhaps easier to spot now that we're not moving forward so constantly. And we have... You hear footsteps. Oh, the footsteps stopped. We see friends. And this time we see very obviously that they're two melee friends instead of a melee and a range like we've had before, but also they're coming at us one at a time. Ow. Hello. Stop. With that, maybe I'll stop this video here. And